Hello.
Hello.
So DC is just kind of like rolling out the hits lately. I mean, somehow,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it seems that way for you, probably more so for you than everyone, because you just recently finally watched Snyder Cut, and then you
Yeah.
watched Suicide Squad shortly after that. Everyone else is like, yeah, we knew the Snyder Cut was good, and then
Yeah.
that Suicide Squad was also good. Uh, but yeah, we're like a week late on this review, but that's fine because this is just a fucking hobby channel, and I've got other shit going on. So, yeah, I watched it, Suicide Squad. I watched it last Friday night with, or not this past Friday night, but the one even before that with Veronica. We
hmm
sat down and watched it. Even she liked it. Like,
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's good.
there's obviously things about it she didn't like. Like, she's not into all the gore and shit. But I mean, yeah, it's a solid movie. I didn't really have doubts with this one. I'm gonna be honest because, like,
Yeah.
it.
I
This
had
movie.
less. I had
What's up?
less. I
Less
had less
doubts.
doubts. It
Yeah.
was the cast. The cast
Well,
seemed good.
the cat. A lot of them aren't in it. You know what I
I
mean?
know.
The
No, I know.
original
I was
cast
I
are
was really
like
impressed with that.
Nathan
The way they handled
Fillion,
it.
Pete Davidson, all this cast that they built up, and they're not
Yeah.
really in the fucking
No.
movie. Uh, so that was one thing, but it was more so to me. I kind of went into this thinking like, okay, it felt like a redemption shot to me going into it. Like, the only thing they did differently with the name was they called it the Suicide Squad instead of Suicide Squad.
Right.
It featured a lot of the same characters, and you could tell back in the first one, like, DC was trying to do what Disney and Marvel managed to do with Guardians of the Galaxy. Take a really obscure team of characters and make them mainstream. Uh, the first one failed to do that, but then for this one, what did they do? They went and got the dude that did Guardians of the fucking Galaxy.
Yep.
So it's like they might as well just call this guys we're trying to do better. Like, they might as well.
They did.
That,
Oh shit.
that's
Stupid. Stupid phone.
you're good. No worries. But yeah,
Okay, it
like,
says disconnect. All right.
the Suicide Squad subtitled "Guys, we hear you. We're trying to do better." Like, that could have been the subtitle of this movie. Like,
And it would have been. It almost would have been as tongue in cheek as the movie itself, because the film, the first Suicide Squad. Oh, that's not good. The first Suicide Squad was like, the way I would describe it is like somebody took the concept of Guardians of the Galaxy, which was these unknowns who, unless you were a deep Marvel fan, which I wasn't a Marvel fan either. I was just I liked all that stuff, but I didn't know anything about it.
right.
I knew a little bit about Star-Lord from an Iron Man comic. He was in it for like 5 seconds. He was ridiculously OP. He could fly through space. He had like beams he shot out of his hands. I mean, he was like a god. He was like a literal superhero. But the one in the comics was like, this down to earth dude with blasters. He got kidnapped as a kid and had this tragic backstory. When you got into the first Suicide Squad, you were expecting more of that. These people who have tragic backstories, but are in general pieces of shit, and so are not like redeemable, but you are still there to watch them sort of succeed. You want them to succeed, but you don't care who dies along the way.
Right.
But Suicide Squad, the first incarnation, was like, how do we take ourselves too seriously? Well, let's put the devil in the squad, first of all, and then we'll make sure that they have to fight the mummy from the movie The Mummy. And we're like, well, why?
Suicide Squad, to me, the first one, like, here's the thing. It started out not too bad. The first act was, I was kind of like, okay.
I like Will Smith, so yeah.
Where you clearly realized something was wrong was when they introduced Jared Leto Joker. That was the first indication. Like, hold on, wait, what the fuck is this? What are you trying to sell me here?
Motherfucker had ha 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 tattooed on his chest.
Motherfucker had damaged tattooed on
I forgot
his
all about that.
forehead.
I forgot all. Okay, we have to stop for a second and talk about how there have been bad Jokers over time. Not really. Like, not really. Have there ever been any where people were like, he should never play the Joker again? You could argue that Jack Nicholson is the worst, and he's still great. So
yeah,
when you watch Jared Leto and you watch the audience go, fuck you. Like, seriously, I swear to God, in my head, when he came on screen, I was just like, I was excited too. I want to put this out there. Yeah. I was excited to see him as the Joker because
he's a great actor.
Yeah, and the previews had made him out to be much better than this. Like,
Yeah,
remember the "I'm just gonna hurt you" really,
yeah,
really bad.
dude.
Like that was a great line. It
He
was just so
reminded
shit when
me
they
of like
executed it.
he reminded me of here's what it was. It was Jared Leto pretending to be Jim Carrey playing the Joker. That's what it was.
Holy shit, you're right. That does fit. It does fit. But yeah, yeah, and that really doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
It really doesn't work. It's really
Yo,
bad.
like
They tried to make him in some way like this is a big we just talked about this the other day, so we're not going to go too deep into it, but like this is another one of those examples of people who liked one part of the Joker's personality and were like, let's make it all about that. Let's make him
which
all about
part
the
are
fact
you
that he's
referring to?
damaged.
Oh, okay.
You know, like let's make it all about how he's like psychologically unstable and he's a damaged person, but really there's something in there. No, full stop. There's nothing in the Joker. He is an empty vial, and the only thing that you can fill him with is vitriol and shit. That's it. Nothing else fits in the bottle, and if you put anything else in it, it gets shot back out the top.
And
like
then,
he
of course,
only lets bad stuff in.
With that, it's like they needed to make him into a person, because the movie he was simply there to be almost like a plot device, like in a lot of ways.
For Harley.
Yeah, for Harley. And that's another thing is like in this movie they were trying to push this whole like her and the Joker have some kind of love. And a true psychotic sociopath, let me put it this way, the Joker as he's meant to be is not capable of loving another human being. So right off the bat, if you're trying to have him actually be in love with Harley, you've damaged the character to where it's not the character anymore. So
no, because he physically, first of all, you said it, he physically cannot. But more importantly, to his character, to make him the Joker, is the constant desire to manipulate anyone and everyone around him. Yes. He doesn't care who. He doesn't care who, because he likes the game of it. Here's where it gets kind of dark. It's not really a game to him. He says it is, but to him, this is his whole entire life. Yeah, manipulating people to make terrible decisions is his entire purpose for being.
Harley is the greatest victory. Well, I mean, up until they went with the whole like Harley redemption arc and she goes on her own. But up until that point, Harley was his greatest victory, because the Joker's whole shtick is, I said this to you, like you said, we talked about the other day. The Joker's whole shtick was, I had a really bad day once, and my response to that bad day was to just say, fuck everything, I'm going to go nuts, because I believe that's the correct response to having a day that bad. And anyone who disagrees with me is wrong, and if you do disagree with me, I'm going to manipulate you, and I'm going to manipulate your life to a way where you do. He wants everyone to, what's the word I'm looking for? The Joker's dream is to have everyone tell him he's right for being the Joker in response to that really bad day. But everyone tells him he's wrong. Which means he's like, well, clearly I'm not done yet, because you all don't agree with me. So he's like, the Joker.
He really believes it's his work to do this.
Yeah, like he's like I need to get people over on my side. I need them to come around to my way of thinking, because my way of thinking of, hey, if shit just gets too bad and out of control for you to deal with, abandon all semblance of sanity and just go fucking nuts. That's the right thing to do. And everyone's telling him it's the wrong thing to do. And he's never going to accept that.
No, there's no order in him. He's pure chaos. So he thrives on it. He needs it. It's what makes. It's like you said. It justifies for him his decision, which I do feel like I need to say for those who don't know a ton about the Joker. He doesn't regret it. He doesn't regret making that choice.
Not at all.
He truly, truly believes he's right. So much so that it's like
because the things that led him to it are irreversible. Like there's no getting his wife and unborn child back.
No.
So no matter what, I mean, it's a fictional comic book universe. People have come back from the dead, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's like,
I personally subscribe to the idea that the Joker has never told the truth once in an interaction with anyone.
That's why I like the Killing Joke origin story, because it's not him telling it.
It's just I actually don't remember who's telling him. It's just the narrator.
It's just in there.
Yeah.
So
it's also what they did in the Dark Knight.
It's supposed to be taking place in his own head. Like he's not narrating it to anyone. It's just taking place. Okay. It's his own memories of it. But anyway, something that this movie, The Suicide Squad, did well. Okay, so how much of the last movie, the first one where they put Jared Leto in and he was the Joker, how much of that do you think was simply like, we're gonna try and draw in Heath Ledger money? Just by having
all of it, 100% of it. That's my opinion.
Do you think the Joker was? I get it. He played a role in the plot at a certain point, but it's like, did the Joker need to be in that movie?
with how much he was disliked in that film,
it would have been better to just not
the
have
overwhelming response to him as that character as no more, please.
Yeah.
It was clearly just to try to draw in the people who like the Joker.
Yeah.
Which I would like to point out is not the crowd you're looking for. The DC audience, the DC fans like the Joker. All of them.
It depends how you do the Joker. One. Like if you do him right, then it's like, yeah.
There are those who are fans of DC, and all of those fans like the Joker in some way because he's an iconic villain. Everybody likes the certain iconic villains.
Right.
But the people that like DC because of the Joker are not the people you're looking for.
You're not a DC fan. They're not normal. Joker fan.
You're a Joker fan, and that's not normal. If you are sitting in your couch right now and like hearing these words and going, I'm a Joker fan, rethink that. You shouldn't be. He's not someone to be a fan of.
There's a difference between like being a fan of him as the villain. But if the Joker's like your favorite, like, okay, so I'm not going to name names, but my cousin's fiance, by the way, I'll announce that. My cousin's fiance, he has for a long time been, and he's texted me at random moments and been like, hey, could an argument be made that the Joker is an anti-hero? Like, he wants the Joker's clearly his favorite character out of DC, villain or otherwise. And that's kind of what you're saying. It's like, okay, your favorite character is a murderous psychopath who has no
literally it's
qualities.
Like saying that your favorite person on Earth is Ted Bundy. You're not allowed to say that. That's not. You're not allowed.
Your favorite person in history is Ted. Yeah, it doesn't work.
You can't.
It's not a good
he
idea.
Literally has nothing good inside of him. His whole goal is to cause horrible pain and turmoil and just the most awful shit you can imagine. Are like, okay, this is in the movie Suicide Squad. This is actually a great segue back into Suicide Squad. Is Harley Quinn in the scene where we'll get to how it got here, but she's killing everybody in this building. And when she kills them, butterflies and rainbows and Technicolor sprinkles come out of their bodies.
That's what she sees.
It's like beautiful. She blows somebody's head off with
the Joker did that to her.
That's what the Joker sees too. He sees that. Like, he's so deep in this that beauty to him is absolute abject horror to us. So if he's your favorite, you got to rethink how you got there.
To bring this full circle back around, so let's suffice it to say that one of the things I think this new version of Suicide Squad did right was it did not try... If it's going to be a movie about obscure characters and trying to make them mainstream, rather than do some obscure characters but also bring in a really popular one to draw audience, just double down on these obscure characters. And this movie
lean
does
into that shit.
Yeah,
they did it perfectly.
Like King Shark is
King Shark, bro.
King
Shark and Polka Dot Man. Like, we're gonna have to. They're not us, but they are gonna have to learn from this motherfucker. Okay.
You're fine.
They're gonna have to learn from this clear success that is how you do it. If you try to bring in the main guy, then you might as well have made it that guy's movie.
Right.
Because if you didn't, you're not going to do him justice, and you're going to do a disservice to the rest.
You notice that, like, have you noticed that? Well, think about it like that. What you just said is a good point. Because, like, what movie did they, after the failure of Suicide Squad with Jared Leto, what did they then start doing? And then later on,
wasn't that Batman versus Superman after that?
No, they did a Joker movie. Like,
oh my God, that's right.
Yeah, like it's clearly they were like, okay, guys, we just got to do a Joker movie. If we want to do Joker, we just got to do a Joker movie. Like, yeah, I don't know. Clearly, there's.
Are you talking about the Joaquin Phoenix one?
Yeah, even though it has nothing to do with the DC EU, there is someone high up at DC and or Warner Brothers that is like, it's exactly the kind of person we're talking about when it comes to the Joker. The Joker's their favorite character, and that raises questions about them as a person, and they really want to see the Joker done with this, like, more human side. Like, two times. Suicide Squad, he's actually in love with Harley, that's a load of crap. And then Joaquin Phoenix Joker, that was a load of crap. So it's like, like trying to give the Joker redeeming human qualities. Nope. The
Joker also is, he's not, here's something I really didn't like about that movie. This is a great way to look at the Joker in the wrong light. When he's on that talk show and he blows that guy's head off.
Robert De Niro's head,
Robert De Niro's head. He does that out of anger. He was mad. He was really mad. The Joker's never mad in his life. Because everything going wrong for him. Oh, well, unless it's Batman.
That's the flaw. That's where every once in a while. It's where every once in a while he gets proven wrong. Because, like, the Joker can do stuff to Batman that makes Batman angry. Because that's expected. Yeah. If anyone kills anyone's best friend, they tend to get real upset about that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Batman, it doesn't have to do any, like, physical act. Batman can say stuff to the Joker that will make the Joker be like...
But see, that's Batman. And that works perfectly because they're the same person.
Well, Batman has the most different experience with him, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of people have done it. They can say shit to the Joker. It's like, because like I said, the Joker in his head, he's like, I'm right.
Yeah, he thinks he's right.
I need to make everyone else agree with me. But anytime someone starts poking holes in his logic, he does get...
But that's his... See, that would have been great. If it was because Robert De Niro was trying to poke holes in this guy, explaining his...
All he did, Robert De Niro was, and then
he was there. Let's be real here. He was gonna kill himself, I thought. Was because he got made fun of on stage by Robert De Niro, which I guarantee you the Joker doesn't care about being made fun of at all. Because he doesn't think about things like that.
Right.
If it was Batman making fun of him, that's different. He respects Batman. He really does respect him.
In a weird way.
Yeah, but it's real. It's as much respect as you can get out of the Joker. It's respect,
but he wants to tear back. His goal is, like, he does not want Bruce to die. He wants Bruce to come over to his way of thinking.
To come down to his level.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wants him on his side.
Because then that's his ultimate victory. He's like, if I can turn this paragon,
corrupting literally order into chaos, which he can't do.
Yeah.
Which is why Batman is the ultimate foil. Why there's probably never been a better villain hero combination than Batman and the Joker. Which, if you told people making comic books that years ago, they probably would have been like, "What? A bat and a clown?"
I love the line in The Dark Knight, because it's like, even when I heard it the very first time I watched it, I heard it like. Yeah, the Batman has been around for 80-something years, almost 85 years. But I didn't know the exact number of years at the time when I saw The Dark Knight for the first time. But I knew it was a long fucking time. And when I heard him say, he's hanging upside down at the end out of that building, and I hear him say, "I think you and me are destined to do this forever." I was like, yo, like, you really are. Like, you... Yeah. Like, breaking the fourth wall here. Like, these stories are not gonna end. They will be telling stories of Batman up against the Joker till the end of the human race. Like,
they're such a good embodiment of chaos and order. They speak to the benefits of both. Right. All right, because the Joker is free.
Yes,
he really is. He's free all the time to do whatever he wants. But the cost of that kind of freedom was a lot of physical everything pain. Else was literally everything else was what it cost him to be free. Right. And Batman sees that freedom is different if you want different things. He goes, I want to be able to walk. He goes, I don't just want myself. I want everybody to be able to walk down the street of Gotham and be able to go where they're going. He goes, and for that to occur, there has to be order. And order requires a little bit of freedom sacrificed.
Right.
And the Joker wants to impress upon him that no. See, if you come over here, then all of those things you've ever wanted to do are open to you. Any crooked cop, any, lowbrow politician, you could just go and kill them. And then they're gone. And that's order, right? Like, but it's not. You can see how they differ.
Yeah.
And that's why Batman can't kill, too, because if he kills somebody, he's sort of proven the Joker right in a way. Like, it is easier.
Yes. But here's my thing about that. Like, Bruce has made it very clear over the years that, like, his no killing rule pretty much only extends to humans.
He's definitely killed aliens before.
Like, or any kind of mindless drone type creature. Like
robots.
It doesn't. Well, I mean, robots, whatever.
Sentient ones.
So it mostly just extends to, like, and I don't think if he ever. Well, John Jones, Martian Manhunter, is supposed to be the last Martian. Like, there's been a Miss Martian. Basically, every Martian still alive is somehow directly involved in all of this shit. Like, there's no just Martians living it out somewhere, you know what I mean? But if there were, I think that they're a sentient enough life form to where Bruce would maybe not outright kill them. But yeah.
They've also proven to be pretty good guys.
I'll put it to you this way. Like, parademons, Bruce has zero problem killing the fuck out of parademons. That doesn't matter.
He becomes full Doom guy full Doom Slayer when they're, he's like, excuse me?
So that's,
let me get the bat shotgun out.
So that says right there something about Bruce and killing. It's not so much that he does think it's wrong. He does think it's going too far, but a good portion of it is Bruce is worried that if he ever, because some like the arguments made to him like, why don't you just make just one exception one time and just kill the Joker? And it's because he's like, because with the amount of rage that I have in me, he's like, don't think I don't have a good like hold on it, because I do.
Yeah.
But with the amount of rage that I have in me, if I take the chain off the dog for even just 1 second, I'm never, if I let the tiger out of the cage, the tiger's never going back in the cage.
It's not going back in. Yeah.
Every motherfucker with a pulse, like ever. Like, so yeah, that's another thing with Bruce.
Yeah.
But back to the Suicide Squad.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, so what they did great, since we just talked about the big boys. Yes. We need to go back to the base of this movie, which is the fact that these are fucking nobodies, and that's the best part of this movie.
Were you disappointed at them dying at the beginning? A lot of them. Like, were you kind of like, what the fuck is this?
For the first couple seconds, I was like, fuck. This is kind of pissing me off. Like, I wanted to see Pete Davidson. I wanted to see, Nathan Fillion. But honest to God, I don't think that they could have been any funnier than they were in that moment. Like, there was nothing more they had to offer, because the way that, oh shit, I just said his name and now I can't remember it. The guy who gets his face blown off right in the beginning.
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson. So Pete Davidson, that was funny as hell, and that was perfect, and that's exactly what I expect out of his character, to immediately betray everyone and just try to get away with it scot-free. Like, that was perfect. That's exactly what he did. He just tried to betray everybody and walk away, and they immediately killed him, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
And Nathan Fillion, the reveal of what his power did, was beyond funny. I had to pause the movie and walk away for a second, because
what was his name again?
It was like Disembody or something. I don't remember.
The detachable kid. TDK.
TTK.
TDK.
So this gets said on the plane. They ask him what his name is, and he says it's TDK. And they're like, "What does that stand for?" And he gets really defensive, and he just goes, "It's just TDK. TDK just is the name. It's just TDK." And they're like, "Your name is TDK?" And he's like, "Yeah." and then Amanda Waller over the mic.
We knew a guy growing up whose name was ATN. Like,
yeah,
so I mean,
ATN, yeah. So so Amanda Waller over the radio goes, send in the detachable kid. Yeah. And you're like, what the fuck? Oh, TDK.
Yeah.
And then Nathan Fillion literally just pops his arms off.
Yeah. Do you like how when the arms were getting shot, he's like writhing on the ground? Yeah.
Funniest shit. There's a guy who I don't know if a lot of people knew who he was, but I hope now you will look him up if you didn't know his name. Flula Borg.
Yeah.
Flula Borg. He's so fucking funny. In real life, he's just hilarious. He's got this very German humor.
Yep.
Where he's just like, he's like, yes, oh, yes, yes. And he's so funny. He's so spot on.
I've seen a lot of interviews with
Javelin.
him. Yeah.
Javelin is like nothing.
Yeah.
And for the whole movie, you're like, what the fuck is this Javelin for?
Yeah.
They set it up so well. Like, that's the thing. They could have fucked that up so bad by putting all the main characters in the beginning and then killing them all and making us mad for the whole movie.
That was my thing.
They killed them all so perfectly.
Like, well, I was also watching it, like, each time one of them died at the beginning, I was like, oh, man, really? But then I was also kind of like, okay, well, wait a minute. We're at the very beginning of the movie. Let's see if, A, they don't give us better characters, and B, let's see if I actually miss these guys. And
that's exactly what I said.
They really didn't give us enough. They gave us enough to like them, but they didn't really give us enough to miss them. Like, throughout the movie, I was never kind of thinking about, like, man, I wonder if, other than Captain Boomerang was kind of like,
he is funny.
Like, who? Well, it's not even just that. It's like, most people wouldn't know who Captain Boomerang is, but if you are a DC fan, you know that he's kind of one of the staple members of the Suicide Squad. Across comics, animation, everything, and they murdered his ass real early. They were like, "Fuck."
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so shit.
Very dead.
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting choice, but to me, as a not big DC fan, it really solidified for me that this is the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Like, because those heroes in the beginning were actually kind of competent, even though it backfired on them immediately. All of them had sort of a competent power. Like, it seemed like Javelin's power was his javelin would go wherever he threw it. And it seemed like we already know Captain Boomerang's power. He has boomerangs. And then Blackguard was clearly just some mercenary guy with a gun who's a dick. Yeah. So, like, when those guys were out there, you were like, okay, if there's a squad that's going to storm this beach and get it done, it's probably these guys. And then when they all die, and then they reveal the other cast, which is Rat Girl,
Ratcatcher 2, King Shark,
Ratcatcher 2, which is the greatest.
The dad is the first one, yeah.
Yeah, who's Taika Waititi for those who are interested in this movie and haven't seen it. And then you've got Peacemaker, and then Polka Dot Man.
Yeah.
And that was it. And so you have no idea who half these people are. What the fuck is Ratcatcher 2's power?
Can we talk about that? Like, let's talk about that for a second. So this team, even though they're the main characters, and I love them by the end of it, seemed much more lackluster. Because right off the bat, you got Peacemaker and Bloodsport. They're just
identical, and they're a plot point actually that they're identical.
Yeah, and you learn later on he brings it up. He's like, "Why are there two of us if we're so similar?" And you learn at the end, it's because he's there to do Amanda Waller's like real bidding.
He's the whip dog, and the other guy is the free wolf, and he's like, dogs and wolves don't really like each other.
By the end, throughout the movie, and especially once they rescue Flag. 3 members of this team have no superpowers. They're just like badass, highly trained military Punisher type experts. You know what I mean? And then King Shark clearly has some kind of supernatural shit going on.
He's freaking invincible. Like
that dude's the shit. Like
my favorite character, hands down, is King Shark.
Yeah. And, 100%.
Oh, new dumb friends! It's the greatest scene ever.
Oh,
and
man.
when he gets
Hand.
the only things that could get it, hand. Oh, me read books so good.
Bird. Nanawe, stay off the comm. Peacemaker. It's actually very nice.
Yeah, that doesn't look anything like me. And then he's paused for a second. He's like, "That's very nice." King Shark. Peacemaker wasn't terrible.
Would you eat your friends? No.
Yeah.
Like question.
No. Ratcatcher 2 is real trusting of King Shark.
Yeah.
He tries to eat her. Great scene. Very dude, that was the thing. And maybe they could have toned down the comedy a little bit, but then when I got to the end of the movie, I was like, no, they can't. This is how it's supposed to be. Like if they had toned it down at all, it would have detracted. This is exactly the problem they had the first time. They tried to tone the comedy down. They were like, we'll make it comedic, but it's going to be a serious action.
I don't know if they tried to tone the comedy. Okay, so here's the thing. So
think about the whole end of the first movie before you say that. Think about how the whole end of it is so intense. It's like the witch queen is summoning her immortal brother, who is a demigod.
Well, I mean, he goes away.
They're just trying to kill him.
Well, they kill him, and that's another thing. Let's recap a little bit. Well, no, Diablo fights him and holds him down.
Doesn't he burn his hand through his chest?
Nope, he holds him down. They kill him with. Remember, Killer Croc went under the water with the seals.
Yeah,
and they got those explosives. Yeah, they kill this ancient deity with a fucking bomb.
Yeah. Through the ground, which is...
we can drop those... Why you needed to send these people in... We can drop those... Well, they went in to get Amanda Waller out. They weren't supposed to. Yeah. So that...
They were just getting stopped by those crazy deities.
Yeah, that was another thing. The final fight between the brother and the sister was bullshit because... They clearly have immense levels of power.
Yeah.
Like
the Suicide Squad's not beating them.
No.
The Avengers would struggle to beat those guys.
Yeah, that's my point. And yet they beat them with man-made human explosives. Not even that big of one anyway. Like if it's an explosive device that's capable of being carried between the human bodies of like a SEAL team, it's not that big of an explosive. Okay, you know what I mean? Like so that killed the brother. And then also like I understand how they killed the sister. They cut her heart out.
Yeah.
But why she, as this like immortal godlike being, decided to engage them in a hand-to-hand fight? I have no fucking idea.
You see what I mean, though? Like they tried to make it an action movie at the end.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, Suicide Squad is 3 comedy movies in a trench coat that says action on it. Because they wanted to convince you,
about, right?
The second one.
Oh.
Both of them, really. But the second one, see, here's the thing.
Lived up to it.
It lived up to what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
There were really awesome action sequences.
Yes.
Super good. And it just showed that no matter what the Suicide Squad does, they're going to fuck it up. Like, they can't have a successful action without there being a ramification. That's what makes them the Suicide Squad. If they were doing all this stuff successfully, they'd be the fucking Justice League. Yeah. They aren't. So they fuck up somewhere in the middle that makes them not the Justice League. You know? So the scene where they killed all those guys in the camp. This is my favorite example.
Oh my god, I love that shit. So
best scene probably in the entire film.
Why was I not alerted to your presence by my guards? Guards. We didn't see any guards. There were no guys.
I didn't see any guards. There were no guys. We got in here.
It's like, how long did they think that was gonna? All that she had to do was step outside, and she would have seen nothing but gore and carnage. Like,
oh my god! And they were really not being nice to those guys. At one point, Peacemaker just walks by a guy sleeping, stabs him 6 times with the head of his axe, and just walks away. Like, so like that's the Suicide Squad. That's what they needed to have in there. Was they needed to obviously display them fucking up while also displaying that there's a reason that they're held in high supermax security prisons. They're not bitches. Like that's the thing that always gets thrown in there is like, oh, they're the weaker. No, they're often the most unstable, like horribly mutated powers acquired in dubious ways,
right?
Or they're just dubious people.
Yeah,
and like Harley, she has no powers, but because she has like synesthesia for blood and sees it as beautiful rainbows, she just kills people. So she's obviously a good member of the squad. She can kill people.
What did you think about her kind of like veering off for a while and having her own little story arc with that?
Oh, with the guy who wants to marry her.
That seemed a little pointless. That seemed a little pointless.
I liked it. Here's why I liked it. They needed to break up the story so that they could advance all the characters to the city.
Yeah.
Because if they were going to show them trekking through the jungle, then they would have to show a fight in the jungle to make that interesting. Yeah. Which a jungle fight is boring because it's hard to shoot one of those and get any like footage of people. They're just too dense. So just kind of having them trek through the jungle for a second and then doing a side plot.
Show what Harley's doing.
Yeah. It made it more interesting for that split moment. I think that scene's about 10 minutes long anyway.
So here's the thing. I've only watched this movie once, but I can tell right now it's like, you know how like anytime you watch a movie for the first time, if you like the movie, it all seems good.
Yeah.
But the second time you go back and watch it, that's when since you've seen it before.
I did skip to the point where she shoots him in that part. Because like I didn't feel like watching the rest of it. I wasn't interested. The first time I watched it, because I was just trying to watch the whole thing, not get to my favorite parts.
Well, you didn't know your favorite parts yet.
I didn't know my favorite parts, right? Yeah. So I was like watching it all. I didn't hate the scene at all. But when you do watch it a second time and you get to that scene, my instant reaction was to pause and skip to the shot because that's where it gets interesting.
This doesn't really lead to anything. It's just there. No.
She's going to kill him, so I'm going to skip.
And then she's going to give a monologue about being a strong woman and getting out of an abusive relationship, which is like, yeah, we get it.
I like that.
We watched Birds of
Joker.
Well, okay, maybe we didn't all watch Birds of Prey. So
I didn't.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Birds of Prey, the only thing bad about it that I thought, like the only genuine thing about it, I was like, this is a bad movie, and I'm being really honest here, is the final like showdown fight scene, because
it wasn't good.
It's just one of those. It's bad in the way that like the fight choreography and shit from the Dark Knight movies is bad. It's unbelievable.
Easily the worst part of the Dark Knight movies is the fighting.
Arguably the only bad part of them is the fighting,
and you can really easily overlook it.
Yeah. That's the thing with Birds of Prey. The final showdown is like this group of, so it's Renee Montoya, Huntress, Harley, and Black. It's this group of 4 women and this teenager girl, and they all have some, maybe the one Huntress has her little crossbow, and other than that they've got some melee weapons, right? They easily go up against. They're in an abandoned like theme fair park, like Joker style.
Right.
And in this park, these 4 women easily go up against, I want to say probably 100 or more fully armed, like gangster mercenary people with like a main firearm and a backup sidearm and full ammo and everything. And you're just like, nope, they're dead.
Well, they didn't use guns. That's dumb. Like in Suicide Squad, even Harley picks up guns sometimes. Well, you kill a guy with a gun, then you take his gun. You now have a gun.
Yeah.
I've never understood that.
Well,
like, it's a basic video game principle where, like, if you're going to do realism like that, not a lot of superpowers, and you're going to present oodles of guns, you should have them pick one up, you know? Just at least one of them.
It doesn't look as a lone survivor firefight or a what's a more like in the city urban gunfight movie. You know what I'm trying to
say? Heat.
Yeah,
the movie where they rob the banks, and then they try to break away with Val Kilmer and shit. Watch that scene if anybody wants to see big firefights.
Gunfights in an urban closed environment, tactical police SWAT type shit. I'm not saying that's not actiony and that's not fun to watch, but it's not comic booky.
No,
So
no,
I
it's
think
slower,
they feel
realistic.
obligated when it's a comic book movie to have the characters doing cool stunts and shit like that. The only difference is it's like we talk about Batman v Superman all the time and how he fights in that warehouse scene. Arguably, the only good thing about Batman v Superman is like how he fights in that warehouse scene is exactly how Batman should fight. And
yeah, quick and brutal.
While it is stylized and flashy, it also makes sense as far as Batman goes, because they make sure to show you in that fight scene that clearly he's an expert hand-to-hand combatant. Clearly he's a master of like stealth and distraction, and clearly he's wearing protective body armor that's going to stop the bullets. They don't do any of that stuff in a lot of these fight scenes in superhero movies. They just kind of expect us to take it on faith and be like, it's a comic book movie.
Bullets suspend disbelief.
Yeah, bullets don't work the same way. And I'm kind of like, no, do it. I can't believe I'm saying these words. No, do it the Zack Snyder way and check all the boxes. Oh, there's our proof that he's wearing bulletproof. Oh, there's our proof that he's a master martial. Oh, then there's our proof that he knows how to use his environment to his advantage. Check all the fucking boxes.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Harley has a lot of. I really don't understand why the last scene wouldn't have been them like setting a ton of traps around the place. Harley
didn't have time.
Bro, I think in the comics,
I'll tell you how it goes down.
Or at least in the animated series, Harley used to set mean traps for Batman, like really fucking mean, like a Jack in the Box in the middle of a room, and he's like, I've seen this one before. I'm like, no, you fucking haven't, Bats. And when the crank starts turning, and he's like waiting for the thing to pop out, and it just releases gas from underneath it, and he's like, oh motherfucker, and he's unconscious. And then he wakes up chained to the ceiling with like laser-headed great white sharks breathing acid. He's like, of course, it's fucking Harley. I would guarantee it. And then Harley comes out with her mallet and she's like, that's Harley. Harley's a fucking bitch and she's mean as shit and she'll set traps. I imagine it would have made more sense if they had displayed her doing that through the movie so that they wouldn't have to justify it at the end. But yeah.
And what's fucked up is, I mean, no, let's suffice it to say, no, none of that happened. But, even though she kind of played a little bit of a, she took a back seat to this movie for like, I almost want to say like the first 2 acts of it, you know? Because it doesn't feel like it the first time watching it, because it's your first time seeing those scenes with her at the palace and blah, blah, blah. But if you watch it a second time, I have a feeling you'll look at it and go, oh yeah, she wasn't really that important or big of a deal for about like the first half of this movie. And then, but once she gets back to the team, and the way she gets back to the team is like, what are you guys doing? We're here to rescue. It's a really good plan. Well, I could go back inside and let you guys do
it. The best part of that scene, so if you haven't seen it, when this is all going on, when Harley is like killing everybody in this building, like, I mean, just murking them, like, she just walks through the place and kills everybody. This team has formulated a plan to break in and get her and then break out. And they were talking about how are we going to get in here? It's like a fortress. It's going to be full of guards. And then Rick Flag has his grapple hook in the wall. And he's
Bloodsport's halfway up the wall.
Yeah, Bloodsport's already all the way, almost up. And Harley just walks around the corner and is like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, and Rick Flag's like, what? But we were coming to save you. And she goes,
you were gonna save me?
You were gonna save me?
Yeah, we had a really good plan too. It was a really good plan too. Oh, I can go back in and let you guys do it. Like, it's pretty good.
It's the best.
Yeah.
That's first of all, that was doing Harley, right? She's out of her mind in every sense of the word. She's out of her mind. Do you remember what she was saying when she was killing those people? Like, the reasons that you have to kill men, like, or if they have, like, it was like, I can't remember the exact
monologue after she shot the dude. No,
that's why I like that scene. She talks about like the very weirdly specific to her reasons that you deserve to die. Like, and every single one of them at the end of it, she says, then I have to kill him. I made a promise to myself. She's like, if I ever see a man who wears cargo shorts with a tank top, I have to kill him. It was stuff like that. Like, it was just, it started off so normal. Like, if I see a man selling drugs to kids, I'll have to kill him. And then it's like, if he wears tie-dye on a Thursday, I have to kill him. And you're like, what is happening here? Like, that's Harley. She's out of her mind. Just does such a great job. The only weird character in that whole movie, I would say, is the one I really wanted to like, but just didn't give a shit about at the end. It was Peter Capaldi's character, the thinker. I was like, what is your point? Like, he's just, as far as I could tell, was to serve the crux of the reason that the starfish wants to kill everyone. Like, he was the reason that it actually. Well,
he was also their way in.
Yeah, that's right, and he's also their way in.
And then like and there's always that, like, when they're getting that briefing done at the beginning, there's always, in movies like this, any kind of heist or espionage movie, the team gets a briefing and they're just like, latest intel informs us of this, this, and that. And you're like, well, where the fuck did you get this? Like, they start out like, he likes to frequent this bar. And it's like, how do you, is it really that common? Is it really that common knowledge? Like, that this dude who is like this really high ranking person at this science facility just likes to go out for a drink. Is this really just common knowledge? You just have this in your report. But then you see him in the bar. The scene when you see him walk in the bar, you're like, yep. The minute that dude walks into a bar, everyone becomes aware of it. And the fact that, like, we're doing this? This dude is just walking into a bar for a nightcap, like, with the shit in his head and everything. Like,
which they don't really explain what all of that stuff is for. Nope. They, like, not really at all, actually. Because as far as I can tell, it's so that he can't have one of the face huggers get on his face and control him.
Starro is psychic, so it's almost he can, it lets him but he doesn't need to psychically communicate because he's got plenty of them wearing the Starro things and they can just talk with mouths.
My personal opinion is that it's to prevent the face huggers. I think every single diode on there is to prevent them. Like, maybe it shocks it off his head if they try to, or just outright prevents them from latching on the appropriate way. Yeah. But that's literally all it does, is like when all the little Starros, are floating around in the thing and everybody backs away for a second and he just stands there. Like, I think that if you studied like the aliens from the movie Alien and saw face huggers jumping out all the time, you would find a way to make sure you didn't get face huggered, you know? Yeah. Like, I don't want that. Nope. He's cool, but he does have an unceremonious death, which is why I didn't feel like he was all that important. Like, I feel like he should have died way sooner than that, because he just didn't have much of a purpose. His death was funny. Yeah. It comes after a pretty weird reveal that when the Starro possesses somebody, he would then have sex with those people, which was essentially having sex with Starro, who didn't like it, but he did it anyway. It's just and he goes like this when they say it. He goes, he's such a fucking creep. That's his whole point, is to be a freaking creep. Yep, and then he dies. Basically. And gets ripped in half. Yep.
I have to say, I at first I was kind of like, I wonder how I'm gonna feel about them doing Starro, because Starro. I had
no idea who that was.
Starro is I did reluctantly. Starro is the villain that initially brought the Justice League together historically for the very first time. The very first time in comics that the Justice League came together for any reason, it was to...
Maybe that's symbolic. No. Because the Snyder Cut was good.
Yeah, but here's my thing, though, is like, even though that was the first time the Justice League was ever assembled, was to fight Starro, no one fucking knows that, except people like me. Like, you didn't know that, you know?
I didn't know that.
So...
I thought they made him up for the movie, if I'm being honest. I didn't look him up. It didn't occur to me to Google Starro.
So the point of that, tells you right there that even though this character does have kind of a special place in DC history, the fact that he's so unknown means that when you're doing a mainstream film franchise, should you put him in some like big epic seminal movie as the main villain? Nope, absolutely not. Should you put him as a one-off throwaway villain just to give a nice nod to him? Absolutely. Now, some people I've heard have said, like, well, it still should have been the Justice League who fought him, because that's straight from source material. And I'm like, yeah, but if it had been the Justice League who fought him, then it wouldn't have been just a nice little throwaway villain nod to the character. Like, it had to be...
It had to be these guys.
Squad. Yeah.
Nobody wants that. You just pretty much said it. Can you imagine? Nobody actually wants to see our main guys go against some puny Starro. Bitch. Like, the Starro they showed us in that movie. If Superman was the only one who showed up, he wins.
They'd be fine. Yeah.
There's literally nothing that Starro could do to Superman that he couldn't. They try to face hugger him, gets on his face, he shoots laser beams through it.
Yep.
or he breathes ice on it and freezes it. Like there's literally nothing they can do. He literally closes his mouth.
It's not getting in there.
Never. It can't. Literally cannot. He's so strong that closing his mouth would be the bite force beyond anything we know. And
it's not like what you're thinking as a human of like really trying to hold your mouth shut. No, he just has to naturally.
Relax his mouth and close his lips together, and there's nothing in this universe.
He could even smile while he does it, and like. So the Justice League versus Starro in any movie should never have happened, and it didn't happen, thankfully. I think it was a good. It was still nice to see the character get a little nod, paid homage to, and see him show up in a DC movie. I know Kevin Smith is probably just like losing his shit. Like the fact that like some of these old like the dude at my comic book shop that I talk to every once in a while, he has been consistently reading DC comics for 30 years. So this dude to see in day and age where Starro the Conqueror is getting a live action big screen appearance in
the Dawn of the
major
Nerds
film. Yeah, like that's just like
it's the Dawn of the Nerds. Like
that sun is high noon right now.
We did the foot in the door of the nerds with Marvel, which is how Jimmy got involved in all this stuff. That's how you know it was the foot in the door. But Jimmy is on board for it. We talked about this
a little bit the other night of like in and of that though, nerd doesn't mean the same thing that it used to.
That's exactly what I mean.
The qualifications are lower.
When we hold to that, what are the qualifications for that? No. It's Starro the Conqueror. Something that I'm a super nerd. I'm so nerdy. There are like 15 different worlds that I know about, but I don't know about
specific. DC. There are films. There are fields and disciplines and different fandoms. Right?
There's so many. So many, endless. I mean, you could be a Thundercats aficionado, and you would fucking count. So like, if you know
the point you're trying to make,
and you make that.
I think the point you're trying to make is, if you are going to see these movies, whether it's Star Wars, Marvel, DC, doesn't matter. If you're going to see these movies and absolutely every single thing you see in each and every one of them is new to you, but you like it, great. We're all glad you like it. You're not one of us. If it's all 100% new to you, you're not one of us, and that's fine.
Yeah.
We're glad you're here.
Totally cool.
We're glad you're on board.
Yeah.
We're glad you're learning. It's just that you don't.
Don't tell us that we're wrong when we're mad about something that you just found out about 5 minutes ago. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. You have no context. You have no precedent.
Yeah.
You have no history with the thing. You're observing it for the first time in this format. Like that's the thing is like whenever someone criticizes or whenever someone kind of like gets mad at me for shitting on the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, I immediately start trying to do a deep dive to see how much about Star Wars they really know.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, and I ask them questions not about other movies. I ask them stuff from video games. I ask them stuff from books. I ask them stuff from comics. Stuff that like, because that's to me is a true fan. Like if you say that you're a Batman fan, but all that you really know, but you just watched the Dark Knight trilogy and you, I'm a big Batman fan. I've seen the Dark Knight, Batman Begins, and the Dark Knight Rises like 8 times. It's like you're not a Batman fan. You're a Dark Knight trilogy fan,
which is fine.
Yeah, which is
it is
fine.
Batman, but it's just that version.
If you're a fan of something, you do all the different facets of it.
My weeding out question is always, how do you feel about Luke not having shatter points? If I get a blank stare from that, I'm like, it's cool. We don't have to talk about this anymore. Like I already know that no matter what you say past that point is irrelevant because you don't know about the fact that Luke was beyond God level power, and then they reduced him to nonsense level.
Right.
And you can only really see how powerful he is in the blessed, glorious presentation that we were given in The Mandalorian, where they finally demonstrate that Luke Skywalker is, if nothing else, at that point in his life, Darth Vader level powerful. He walks through a hallway, mowing down everything, not taking a shot, not getting grazed, just kills everything. That's Luke. And then the we were presented in the movie. The only thing
that's going to rival him is another Force wielder.
Yes. So that's the kind of stuff that I mean when I talk about like a nerd. So when they say Starro the Conqueror is the villain, he was someone I'd never heard of before.
Right.
I didn't particularly find him interesting.
Wasn't meant to be.
Just
and
I didn't think he was.
His whole thing isn't. But it is a threat. Like it's a. Yeah. That's the thing of like.
He was a mind control monster. It was simple enough that I didn't need to know more.
If you want to do a good one-off villain, a one-off throwaway villain, they do not need to be super relatable. They just need, like, when the audience is watching, the audience just needs to, in their head, be thinking, okay, yeah, this guy or this thing is a problem. It's a threat. The threat needs to be there, you know? And there was clearly a threat.
The fact that he was mind controlled was a really great... I think honestly that even might be why he was chosen above the fact that he's, like, an OG villain, was that he was an extremely simple plot point that needed no further explanation.
Right.
He can release an endless number of himself that mind control everything.
Yeah.
And he'll do that to the whole planet. Boom. Plot.
Yeah.
And then everything else is the actual plot.
Until Superman shows up. Did you notice
that?
Just
literally that, yeah.
Did you notice that they said, though, and they conveniently also said that, like, once the thing attaches to the face, the human's dead. That was convenient as well. Did you notice, though, they said when they were introducing Bloodsport, she said he's in here for putting Superman in the ICU with a kryptonite bullet. And I'm going, whoa, when did that happen?
Yeah. I really want to know the little plot behind that.
There's some events missing, but that's comic book accurate. He does that in the comic book. Cool. But I'm just going, there's a bit of a time gap here between Justice League and this shit. If Superman's in the ICU from a kryptonite bullet, like, is this motherfucker okay? Is he coming back?
Here's what I think too. I think it's even further past that, because all she says is that he put him in there, which means that he could have been in prison for, like, God only knows how long since that incident. So clearly, this could be any time frame.
Clearly, it's not that wrong, because we're seeing not that long ago. We're seeing characters from the previous movie.
Yeah,
Rick Flag, Harley.
Superman's not doing this too. He's like, I just find it really hard to believe that Superman wouldn't become aware of a giant monster demolishing a city and appear when he can fly around the planet in reverse time. Like, he can...
No.
He can probably...
Let's shut the fuck up about that. That's not a thing.
I can never let anyone forget that is a real thing. That really happened.
Just like Adam West was never Batman, that's not a thing.
Backwards, you will not reverse time.
Nope. That's some bullshit. Nope. Just like how Adam West was never Batman, and Superman never reversed time by flying counterclockwise.
Adam West was born 7 years old and only played Mayor West in Family Guy. As far as I know about his career, that's all he did.
Yo, you want to hear some shit? Hold on, I gotta take a minute. So, remember how I bitch about the McFarlane toy line?
Yeah.
The next thing that they're gonna do, their brilliant idea for the next wave of figures is Adam West Batman shit.
I guess there's a market for that.
No.
Right?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
Maybe like Uber collectors?
Here's the market for that. Dude, that show was on in the 60s. Like, the people who were, like, big fans of it, like, that's their Batman. Think of how old they got to be. Like,
oh, they'd be my mom's age.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. But it's like...
60s.
It's like, think about it, man. It's like, here's the market for that kind of shit. People who want to buy it to make YouTube videos about it. That's it. And okay. Todd McFarlane is older. I think he's in his 50s, so he might have been a fan of that, but like, it's like, yo, like, some shit just needs to die. Some shit just needs to go away, and we got to stop bringing it back up again. Like,
I'm looking these up because I want to see them.
The figures, the Adam McFarlane toys.
Oh, he hasn't released pictures yet, I don't think.
I think so, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just I'm not trying to start a whole discussion about it.
No, I understand. I just wanted to see him. Here's the thing I do.
I'm guessing you found them.
I found some old toys. These might be the ones. I think these have to be the ones. Yeah. So they come with a BAM and a wham sign. The Robin comes with a BAM and a wham sign.
Probably. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I would buy, no kidding, I would buy the Robin figure just to buy the BAM and the wham sign and throw the Robin away. Because that I can think of endless uses for suspended in the air plastic BAMs and whams. Like, you know how people create little, like, scenescapes?
So Suicide Squad.
Okay, so
no, fuck this shit, dude. I can't.
They look really bad. So we were talking about Rick Flag. We were talking about.
We're talking about like
Bloodsport shooting
Star of the
Superman.
Conqueror. It was a good choice of villain. Bloodsport put like with that little bit of knowledge, he puts Superman in the IC with the kryptonite bullet. It's like I guess. I mean,
it does set him up to be above Peacemaker. I think was the point of that little tidbit because they don't like Peacemaker thinks he's on the same level as Bloodsport, and I always got the opinion that Bloodsport is better than Peacemaker at what they do. It's just that Bloodsport is just like a deadened nerve, you know, like he doesn't feel much of anything, but he's capable of it. He's just taught himself how to like not. And so you can see when he like cares about his daughter, who he even acts like he doesn't care about, but he's like, I actually do.
Well, they had to make it different than Will Smith Deadshot. It's similar, but they had to make it. They knew people were going to draw comparisons, so they had to make it different.
It's also more interesting than Deadshot, who I was not that interested in seeing because his power is too OP for that scenario.
Deadshot just
like
doesn't.
He never misses. Like literally never misses.
Did fucking Bloodsport miss?
No, but it wasn't because he had a power. I think made it more interesting.
So there's certain things. I mean? There's shit in DC where it's like a power. But to me, like a power is like, why does Wonder Woman? A power is like someone being able to do something that no human being can even come close to do. Like why Superman being able to fly? That's a power.
But there's nobody on the planet Earth who can shoot with 100% accuracy. It just isn't.
It's an enhanced. It's a power in that regard, but it's still just a normal human skill. It's just it's a highly enhanced skill.
But that's like essentially what Captain America is. He's just a normal guy with like enhanced human abilities.
Yeah.
You know, so is Batman for that matter.
Yeah.
He just instead of getting the super serum, he just did a shitload of pull-ups.
That's my thing. Is like watching with Bloodsport and like comparing Bloodsport to Deadshot, which people have been doing. Everyone's like, no, Bloodsport's his own character. I'm like, I get it, but like...
I know they're functionally the same. I found Bloodsport more interesting than Deadshot because I already knew who Deadshot was. I think is the only reason. I didn't know who Bloodsport was. So when he was introduced, I was like, okay, I've never heard of you before in my life, so I'm interested.
I think you put Deadshot. I think you put Deadshot in this movie, Will Smith Deadshot in this movie. It's a difference in movies and the direction they were given by the director.
Honestly, dude, he would have been good in this one because he could have played a different role. He could have been a sniper.
He could have been
super funny roles,
fucking Bloodsport,
like snipes.
Like,
he could have been Bloodsport.
He could have filled the exact same role. I'm not trying to shit on Bloodsport.
Does bring with him a little bit more of a grumpy old man vibe, where Will Smith is youthful. You know.
Yeah, I'll give you that, but it's. You could swap them out and it wouldn't make that much of a difference. But I'm not saying I don't like Bloodsport. I just think that you could swap them out. And that just really shows the difference here is the direction. Like David Ayer, the guy that did the first one, he strikes me as this guy. He's 53 years old. And he's trying to, it's like Suicide Squad. His Suicide Squad was almost just like, he's like, guys, I'm going to do this movie called Suicide Squad, all right? And basically what I'm going to do this movie is I'm going to prove to everyone that even though I'm getting old, I still know what's like in and what's trendy and what's cool. And then it turned out he had no fucking idea. Like
it was not good.
You could tell like he thought that his shit was the cool, like his shit was the coolest shit since sliced bread. But it wasn't. It was just
no.
So and then he did the thing that directors do, and he got mad at fans in the studio for blah blah blah. And
I will never understand. This really doesn't make sense to me because how could it?
He got more mad at the studio than the fans, but in all fairness,
which is important because Ryan Johnson got more mad at the fans than at the studio.
I've seen the director's extended cut of that Suicide Squad movie. It's not that.
So probably wasn't any better.
It's got a couple more Joker scenes that are a little.
See, that's not what we wanted, though.
Yeah, exactly. So no.
It's got two more shitty scenes, but.
It's
hey,
more.
You remember that movie you didn't like? Well, we added two more scenes you won't like, so you should watch it. Like
it's like your dog shits on the floor. Oh, well, this sucks. Would it help if I made the poop bigger? No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
No, stop making. I'll handle this here. The thing that this new Suicide Squad did so right for me is that all the humor we hit at the right moment, and it came from the right person.
Yeah,
and it was all different. Like King Shark's humor was its own thing entirely. It never fit into a certain moment.
I will say,
think about them blowing up the tower, and then he meets the jellyfish. You know, he's completely now. He's not even thinking about the tower. Was nobody else thinking this when they were watching the movie? They're trying to desperately blow up a tower full of a deadly monster. King Shark 100% knows this. He's been fully informed like 6 times. And the instant anything interesting occurs around him, he completely says, fuck the mission. Yeah, it's like squirrel. Like literally, he's like, walks into a room with some water in it. There's nothing in this room at that moment. And that was enough for him to say, fuck this mission. This is a room with water in it. And he goes in there and he sees these jellyfish things. And he just goes, new, dumb. Or he's like dancing around them and like they form up to his exact body shape.
Yeah.
And he goes, new, dumb friends. And he gets so excited. He's got all the C4 for that floor on him. Yeah. So he's just not doing his job. It was subtle little humor like that really makes that movie good. Was that unlike the first one, which my opinion on that director is he didn't give a shit about the details, which is what this is all about.
Actually, like, that's how you get pizzazz and
yeah, you can do that. You can have that and also have
the new one sure as shit had the flash and pizzazz and the action.
Tons of it.
But it just
the first time Polka Dot Man uses his powers and you're like, what does his power do? And then it incinerates anything it touches.
Well, that's,
and you're like, oh shit.
That's kind of like the thing where it's like you hear the counter argument of it's like judge a project based on what it accomplished, not on what it failed to accomplish. And I'm going, okay, but that's like saying like, okay, imagine that there's a guy who can juggle and he can juggle really well. Okay, but then right next to him at another booth is a dude who can juggle just as well, but he can also balance like a stack of plates on his head at the same time. And it's like the guy who's just juggling is going like, yeah, but just because he can do the plates too doesn't mean my juggling is any less relevant. And we're like, no, but you overall as a whole are, you know?
Yeah, this is more interesting.
The Suicide Squad managed to do all of it. It checked all the boxes. David Ayer, you checked some. And don't give us this shit of it's like, well, can't you just appreciate what I did right? No, we're gonna judge you on every motherfucking thing. So,
yeah, I thought his Amanda Waller was a completely different character. It's
still
like
ruthless, but
ruthless but boring.
Oh
Amanda Waller has time and time again proven to be an unhinged psychopath. That's her point. She's just the unhinged psychopath of order.
It made sense that her and Peacemaker, because they're kind of the
same.
She is what Peacemaker claims to be.
Yeah,
Peacemaker just likes to murder. But yeah,
I even sent you a text saying like he's just a guy that likes to kill people under the guise of peace. But that's how I feel too. Amanda Waller is the successful peacemaker because when it comes time to make harsh decisions, there is nobody better in the universe of fiction to make those decisions.
She'll kill the million to save the billion, like 100%, without a second thought. Without a second.
She would be like if there was a sci-fi series that hasn't been made yet, where they have to make a lot of harsh decisions. You needed a Waller type. Yeah. And that's impossible to recreate. DC somehow nailed that character. Just nailed it. And the girl who plays her nailed it.
Yeah.
But when you see her lose her shit because they won't listen to her, that was telling. And that was important. Because the other movie just tried to make her seem like ruthless but efficient. This one was like all those things, but the Amanda Waller part was still there.
If she starts to lose control, she loses her shit. Yeah.
That's she does.
That's why I love her interactions with Batman. Good. I love it. I love when her and Batman interact. Because
she's great.
Because she can't control Bruce as much as she likes to think she can. She threatens to like expose his secret identities and shit, and he's just like, "Lady, I already call myself Batman in my own head. So if you want to destroy the Bruce Wayne personality, that's fine. Like reveal my secret identity. If you think that's gonna kill Batman, no. All that's gonna do is kill Bruce Wayne, and then I'm gonna be Batman 24/7, and you're gonna have that up your ass. So like, if that's the route you want to go, you just go ahead and dial the phone number.
You go ahead.
And make that call. Yeah, like.
I see. Like that's when you can tell that the director, more than it just being an old like a piece of fiction that sort of already exists in some form, they cared about the movie being good.
Yeah.
Like at the simplest.
Hey Zach.
You have to start the simplest block.
They did.
Yeah.
Both.
They did both.
They did both.
They
You
did
gotta
both.
do it all, motherfuckers. And if you can't do it all, get the fuck out of the show business. Like, I don't know what the fuck else to tell you.
We, as the fans, are exceptionally forgiving. I don't know how we've gotten the moniker of being the most unforgiving audience. Who keeps seeing your movies then, huh, punk? Us. Yeah. We're the most forgiving people in the world. We are forgiving because we gripe about it, and then we go see. And sometimes, in a rare moon, one of those directors with maybe listens to people, maybe they just have a good intuition. They come out with something that hits all those things we talk about. They cared about the movie. They cared about the source material. They cared about the point of it. They had a direction from the beginning, clearly. And then it comes together and it's good. And we're like, write down what you did for this one and then try again on the next one.
Yeah. Like I'm forgiving when it's an honest mistake, but I'm not forgiving like when there's pretty much, in my mind, the way I look at it right now is like, if you want to build a big mainstream film franchise for whatever the fuck it is, there's a formulaic way to do it that will lead you to success. So in my mind, there is no excuse anymore for getting it wrong. Like there's no if you do it, if you try to do it and you get it wrong, and then you just try to make excuses. We all know what the real reason is why you failed. You failed because you didn't follow the fucking formula. You didn't do what you were clearly supposed to do. And make no mistake, through the power of the internet, it is undeniably clear what you are supposed to do. There is, as much as I get it, some people just want to they want a little more creative freedom with their projects. Fine. If that's you, don't play with shit like DC. Don't play with shit like Marvel.
I agree with you. Thing. I fully agree. I will add one thing. I do like it when they do outside of the universe solo movies that allow those directors to get some of that out, because they don't matter. So if it's good or bad, it doesn't mean anything. Care. Like the Joker movie.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah,
but somebody wanted to make that, and then they did, and now it's not going to happen in the DC universe.
Yeah,
that's somewhere else, and that's great for us as a whole.
Right.
And I hear already burning in the back of my head people saying like, "Oh, formulas aren't how you make movies." I agree, but that's not really true anymore. With the object, yes, it's not true for the objective of DC. What they want is what Marvel has, and Marvel, there is a formula. It's just that the directors insert their own pizzazz into the formula. Think James Gunn and Guardians of the Galaxy.
You do, everything has to. So like, how do I put this? Like,
it has to gel into the greater universe. Number one,
and that's
every character that you use is coming back. So don't fuck them in your movie.
Yeah. What you mentioned about the Joker movie, it's like, okay, if that, you have to understand, if we as DC fans, we have our, let's use DC as an example, we have our DC movie universe, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And we want to come back for future movies. We want to come back for more Batman movies, Superman movies, Wonder Woman movies, Justice League movies, whatever the case may be. But if you set something down in the chronological order of the narrative that is shit, that echoes for every movie that comes after that, and we have to just and it's not ignorable. Joker movie that got made with Joaquin Phoenix, good, bad. At the end of the day, if it's bad and we don't like it, we can ignore it.
Yep. We can just act like it doesn't exist.
If that's what you choose to do. But if you put it into the franchise, it's no longer, whether you want to ignore it or not, you cannot ignore it. It's there, staring you right in the face, and you have to acknowledge it. And that, if it's bad, it bothers people. It kind of, it's like you do a really nice. Well, I mean, I've never really painted, but it's like, imagine if you do a really nice painting, or like you have a really nice, oh, got it. You have a really nice shirt that you like, and then you just get a tiny little stain.
Yeah. That actually is a perfect analogy. That's how it feels. It's a gnawing annoyance.
Every time you put that shirt on, you're like, so much of this shirt is awesome.
Yeah.
And then there's this fucking little stain.
There's a bleach stain right here. You know, like, okay, Marvel fans get off too easy, I think, because most of the movies are good. And there's only a few outliers, but I remember distinctly when I was a kid that the few of those movies that weren't good got shit on really, really hard. Thor, when that first came out, people were so mad about Thor because the previews for that movie were awesome. It was like,
you're talking about the first one?
Thunder. Yeah, just the first one. The second one wasn't any better, but it was slightly better. So the hammer flying around, the thunder crack, the armor on him and stuff, like all that had us all hyped. And we saw the movie and it was like Thor loses all his powers in the very beginning and has to be a normal guy for 45 minutes and then fights a thing and gets his ass beat for 15 minutes and then earns the power of Thor again and beats it in 10 seconds. And you're just like, great, what a good movie. Really well done. That was a piece of shit and everybody knows it. And when directors make new movies and there's already been the trial and errors on what is not going to work, stories that if you picked a character that already exists, you didn't invent them, and you try to do this background on them, fucking cut that shit out.
Let me ask you this.
We already know who Batman is. We know how he got there.
Yeah.
We don't need an origins anymore.
Exactly.
Superman the same way.
While what happened in Thor might not have been the most entertaining, was there anything in there, though, that, like, tainted
They get away with
character?
It because it connects. No, that's exactly the thing. They get away with it because they did the golden rule.
It didn't stain
don't
the
fuck
franchise.
Your characters.
It didn't stain the franchise. You know what I mean?
There was no stain on the shirt. You can ignore Thor because he gets a redemption arc because he's coming back.
Yeah.
But DC doesn't devote enough of their resources to that kind of cleanup because they always fuck the character somehow instead of just the movie. You can get away with
by letting dumbass people who think that they have their revolutionary idea for an 80-year-old character come in and do their weird shit. Yeah, like
I actually saw recently. This is a little off topic, but I saw recently someone talking about the hyperspace scene in Last Jedi. That was it. That was just a little excerpt. They were like, "Hey, why didn't they just have Admiral Akbar do it? It would make more sense." And I was like, "Why are you even discussing them? Who does it? It literally doesn't matter anymore. It's a huge fucking stain because any ship that can go to light speed is now a nuke. Yeah. So when you fuck up a plot point that severe, I'm trying to think of like a Doctor Who reference that would fit this, but there are these things called turning points in Doctor. I'm pretty sure I've explained this about 100 times on this channel.
Right.
So turning points. So that is a thing that happens in real life.
You broke a rule.
It happens in real life though, and we don't have a TARDIS to fix it. Like that, when you fuck up your turning point, you were given it. Yeah. It was a glorious, you did a good movie and it led to shit. And now this block of shit you have built your empire on, nobody likes the way it smells. We don't want to.
Yeah.
We can still tell that the base of that movie is the base of this one now.
Yeah.
So
it's
Thor
built
was like,
upon shit.
It was just a flying buttress on the outside of the movie franchise.
Yeah.
And because it was just a buttress, it just held up a wall. And we were like, great, keep holding that wall up and nobody's ever going to touch you again.
Yeah.
They just need to get on board that train.
The word, you just called it right there. You said movie franchise.
Yeah.
To anyone who's like, there shouldn't be any kind of like set formula for making films. Sure, you're right. But the word you used there was movie franchise. And franchise applies to things other than films. There's restaurant franchises. There's sports franchises. Yeah. And for making a franchise of any nature, there is a formulaic way of doing it. If you want to do a franchise, you're going to sacrifice some creativity and commit to a formula if you want it to be successful. If you want to do a franchise, if you just want to do movies, then you get to be more creative and have more freedom. But if you're going to do a franchise, you got to accept the fact that like you're going to have to play within a certain set of rules and live within a certain set of parameters. And if you don't do that, your shit's going to fucking fall off the edge.
We're not being mean by saying this either. And we're not saying this out of some sort of malicious contempt for creativity.
No.
Because that would be ridiculous.
That would be like if you're like a teacher and you're trying to teach this child that like 3 times 3 equals 9, and the child's like, yeah, but I wish it equaled 7, and then you're like, you dumb piece of shit! Like, it equals 9, motherfucker! Get it through your head, or I'm gonna kill your parents! Like, no, like, that's wrong.
That's not gonna work.
We're just spreading, sorry, hey, Billy, look.
Yeah.
For whatever reason you want it to equal 7, cool, but it doesn't. 3 times 3 equals 9. It's just the way it is. Yeah.
It's a formula.
Yeah.
We were put in this box against our will. We didn't step in the box and say, this looks nice. Someone just tossed us in here, and we have to follow these rules.
We are all human beings living in the same reality, and we didn't elect this reality.
No.
None of us did.
This is a boring-ass reality. I cannot conjure fireballs no matter how hard I try. Yeah. So this is just the dumbest reality we could get.
But it's all we got.
But it's what we got. It's what we got. Yeah, so 3 times 3 equals 9. Yeah. So when you make a franchise, you're accepting a little bit of you're not accepting a little bit. There's a lot of expectation on you if it's such a big thing.
Yeah.
DC is huge. There's so much.
That's also
We've done videos just talking about how humongous this galaxy is.
That's also a very good point that needs to be clarified here. Is like, it's not only is it about doing a franchise, but a franchise with established shit. Like,
with so much.
Like, if you think about it,
origin stories make no sense anymore because there's so much.
Harry Potter is a franchise.
Yeah, but that was tiny compared to DC.
Not even just that, but that was her own thing. From the get-go, I'm not saying this to be mean, I just mean it like to be funny almost. She bullshitted all of that from the very beginning out of her own ass.
Yeah, definitely.
It's her creativity. Own shit. So she was able to make, so that kind of goes back on what I just said. She was able to create a franchise off of pure creativity, but it was because she was playing with her own shit that came from her own head. You know what I mean?
She's a great example too, because another example of being able to fail upwards is The Order of the Phoenix, the worst Harry Potter book that everybody and their mother knows is the worst Harry Potter book. It's the one with Umbridge. I did not like it. I liked them all. But it's the worst one. That's undeniable.
It's the first one where they really fight. You know what I mean? Like,
at the very end of an 890-page book, yes, you are correct. They actually get into a fight.
But at the very end, they train. Harry creates the fucking club, and they train
learn how to conjure spells without talking and all that shit. That was cool as fuck. It had a lot of good details. You can't deny that all the Harry Potter books are good. It's just that it's the worst one, and I'll die on this hill. See, because I'll tell you why. The 4th book has a lot of the same shit. They learn new spells. Harry learns Reducto, which is an insanely useful spell later on, which he uses to cheat. I would like to say that's cheating. He blows a wall down in the maze and just leaves. I was like, all right, I guess that works. So
magic itself is a cheat, though, isn't it?
It's cheating. Yeah, the whole thing is cheating. So but Harry cheated in a game of cheating. So so that was great. And then the freaking cup teleports him, and then fucking Voldemort, and you didn't see that coming. Voldemort's back, and he just kills Cedric, and you're like, oh shit, Cedric, you're dead. That sucks. And like, that was harsh. And
welcome to the 4th grade, motherfucker. Like, they're in year 4. Like
year 4, dude. So
he's literally 14 years old. He's 14 years old. So welcome to the real world, jackass. Like,
yeah, here's your friend dead. Like, Voldemort was not fucking around. He was the Sith Lord I always wanted, because Sidious just like lightnings Luke. And he's like,
it wasn't Voldemort. It was Peter Pettigrew.
It was Peter. That's right. It was Peter with his silver hand Peter. Yeah. So that's
anyway.
4. So 5 was Thor, okay? Because Thor set a lot of good lore down. Like the fact that what the fuck were they from? That place of magic guys. I
don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to help.
The place where Odin lives.
Oh, Asgard.
Asgard. Asgard. So
I wasn't sure if we were back to superheroes or if we were still on Harry Potter.
I was trying to figure out the name of Asgard. So Asgard. So it's this cool like city made of crystals and magic, and it's very ill-defined, which made it really cool because you didn't understand the geometry of this place. But they would give you snippets, or like there's like a whole river.
The whole
with,
premise was like to mere mortals have for the entire time our two races have ever interacted, mere mortals have looked at our shit with like we don't comprehend this. So mere mortals are looking at it on the screen and not comprehending it.
That's a little detail that was really cool. That it was hard to get your human brain around this Asgardian design.
And a little bit of you didn't like it because of that.
No,
a little bit of you was like, I want you to be more clear about what this is.
Yeah, this is uncomfortable. Everything's very close together, and there are a lot of forests in your cities. I don't know if I like this.
But it seems like there's technology, but also people walking around
flying
in armor.
Cars, and stuff.
But everyone's got swords. Yeah, like what's going? Okay, where are we here? Is this Middle Earth or is this a galaxy far, far away? What's going on? Like,
did I land on some weird Star Wars planet where nobody has guns, but you have flying cars? Like, all right, this is fine. I would be terrified of that planet because that means they probably have the Force and are going to kill you from a mile away. But so anyway, So then you get Heimdall, who, in my opinion, was the greatest waste of an actor in any movie franchise, was putting Idris Elba as Heimdall. He gets a redemption arc as at the end of Ragnarok too, so whatever. Yeah. But you get Heimdall, you get to meet Odin, you get to meet Freya, you meet Loki, you meet the city itself, you meet his friends, the legendary, band of Thor who go across dimensions and
no
fight.
One gives a shit about.
No one gives a shit about
Name
them
three
at all.
of them, Zach.
I don't know any of them. Nope. Sif, Lady Sif, I got one. Fat guy. Knife guy. Yeah, there's a guy with a knife. Yeah. So no, I don't know.
They're useless.
Sif is one of them.
They didn't need to be there.
Sif is also the name of the wolf that Loki made. Loki in real Norse mythology had sex with a wolf and created a offspring named Sif, who is out of his mind and kills Odin. So anyway, that's just a little detail for you.
Can't wait for that movie.
Yeah, you get all of that. That's going to be a weird one. So you get all that introduced, and then when all that's done, they throw arrogant Thor down to earth to become humble. That was the whole plot of the movie.
Yeah.
All right.
I see what you're
Order of the Phoenix was similar. Harry, on cloud 9, can conjure spells without speaking, is now allowed to apparate on school grounds at will. So little things like that made him
Voldemort
happy.
Is back. Shit's real.
Voldemort's back.
And then they're just like, another year of school. Yeah.
Yeah. So on that year of school, his uncle gets murdered by a Death Eater. And that's just it. And he gets sucked into a mirror and is gone. So
my least favorite is 6. But we don't got to get into why.
6 is also... 6 is my second least favorite. And that's fine. It's not a... They're both good. I'll say that. I'm not trying to offend the Harry Potter crowd. I like all of them. Everybody has their internal ranking. That's not the point of why I'm bringing them up anyway. So you get down to Suicide Squad now. The Suicide Squad. It was built on the back of Suicide Squad, which squeezed its way in between, Harry
Batman
Potter
v
5
Superman.
and Thor.
I see. Okay.
Batman, you know what I mean? Like, it was that one. It wasn't terrible or great. It wasn't even good,
Suicide Squad
bad.
Was like it was
just nothing. It was pointless nonsense, and it didn't have a good resolution. It wasn't that funny. So, but it paved the way for an interest in the movie Suicide Squad
because of the characters it was advertising. It was saying
we were interested,
especially Harley Quinn and Joker. It's like, hey, get ready to see 2 of your most beloved DC characters up on the big screen, and anytime you do that with any character from anything, you are even without you could release no trailer. You could release no trailer and just say, "Hey, we're making a movie. It's going to have Harley Quinn and the Joker." Even without a trailer, any set photos, nothing. Just by saying that to the general public, you have now created expectations in people's mind because it's those characters. So you are obligated to deliver on those characters and who they are and who they're meant to be. And if you take the one dude and you turn him into Jim Carrey and write damaged on his forehead, you have fucked that character. So, but anyway.
Since we're talking about that, and it does segue into the next thing. Harley Quinn in the first Suicide Squad, and then Harley Quinn in the Suicide Squad, and the Joker connection between the two.
There
still
is
there.
In the I didn't really see one at all.
A little bit when she
monologue.
talks about things. Yeah, but that's it. So a little tiny bit. That was the amount of Joker that was required for Harley Quinn to be a good character. The problem with the one in Suicide Squad was that he was not the Joker.
No.
He was a Joker cosplayer psycho.
Yeah.
But he wasn't the Joker. The Joker doesn't need tattoos.
The most loyal Hot Topic shopper trying to cosplay as the Joker. Like
I cannot imagine that the Joker would tattoo himself because he's already at peak terrifying levels. He doesn't want to diminish his terror.
I don't care if the Joker has tattoos. Just make them something stupid lame.
But that's what they did. That was all that they gave him. Stupid lame tattoos. I watched a video where someone broke them all down and was like, "That's dumb. This is so stupid. I can't even believe." And they really are. He was right. They were really bad. Really bad.
That'd be like me. It's like, I mean, there are dumb people like that out there though, who think that the cool thing to do is get this huge amount of turn their body into just this giant work of tattoo art that tells the story of who they are. And fuck those people.
He should have 2 tattoos. They should be on his wrists or on his neck on either side. If the Jared Leto one, I'm gonna fix him right now. This is the only 2 he should have. You should have
any,
like the two of, I think it's the two of hearts and the jack of clubs or something.
Why?
Or it's like the worst hand you can be dealt in poker, which
Oh.
it symbolizes that if you meet this person, your luck's run out. That's only like, and this is a real life tattoo. Like
Okay.
if you see someone with that tattoo, don't fuck with them. That means that they are a bad person. Like
Or that they
only
knew that
kill
and got that
humans.
tattoo.
Yeah, but if they get challenged more often than you would think, and if you're walking around with that and someone challenges you who might also have it and you can't hold up the end, you're gonna die. They're gonna kill you.
Okay.
So yeah, don't fuck with that. But see that, so that would have been a good one. And it's cards, which fits the Joker perfectly. And then you should have a really fucked up stylized Joker card, like with blood on it or something, you know?
Maybe.
Like, but maybe it should just literally be blood from somebody that he hurt, and it's just a tattoo. That would also be more fitting for the Joker. Yeah. I don't imagine he cleans himself all that often.
But that would it's just like, that'd be like Iron Man getting like the word invincible tattooed on his chest, and then like fucking like just steel plating tattoo. Like,
I saw a funny comparison to this. It was Captain America. They were like, it would be like if they had Cap in a tank top and covered in like, he had like a bald eagle sleeve with like the shield here and an American flag with the stars and stripes.
Except that there are people like that. Like,
that was
it's
the
a
point.
Fucking thing. Like,
it was a real person in real life's body that they put Steve Rogers' head on. And it was just like a fat guy in a tank top covered in America tattoos. They were like, this is what you've given us. And it was like, yeah, that's exactly it. Why the fuck did you guys do this to him? So the second attempt, I should just say, they said, we're not going to put him in it.
They went with well, I mean, they brought people back from the first movie, but they didn't try to introduce any really well-known DC characters, and that was a smart move. So one thing I wanted to ask you, we're kind of getting close to the end here.
Yeah.
I do not think that the the action landed really well, the comedy landed really well, and thankfully that's about like 90% of this movie, if not 95%.
Yeah.
The little bit of drama that they did do, I didn't really think it like landed as like, though they're riding on the bus and it's into the city, and I get it, it's a bus ride, they've got nothing better to do other than talk. But the fact that like the Ratcatcher 2 girl, just based off of a little bit of a beginning conversation, she takes that as the cue.
She launched into
into a giant amount of exposition about the origin of her life. Weird. I was like, that's a little too much, guys. Yeah. It's too much, and yeah.
I also thought that was very weird. It felt very unprompted that she just divulged all of this stuff about her dad. I liked Taika's scene.
Yeah, and people were sitting there going, what is this girl's deal? How does she have this power? How does she control the rats? Why does she control the rats? And they just, that's just a sign that story-wise, they could not find a better way to answer those questions without doing just blatant exposition, which kind of sucks.
Sometimes you gotta do, but
yeah,
they tried to make it short. I'll give them that. And the part that I didn't really care for was the part where they tried to make us like feel bad for the situation. I liked Ratcatcher too. I felt a little bad for her, but I was just sort of like, but you're in a Supermax prison. How did you get there? Like, they didn't just arrest you for stealing stuff with your rats. Like there's more to you than you have told us. And also,
but she is one of them that are alive.
We're going to get a scene with him. I knew we were getting a scene with Taika because I looked at the cast, but I didn't know where. So when it happened, I was like, all right, that little exposition was okay because it made this scene possible. But it was a little weird. And
if it's weird because on the one hand, if it's a character that's not going to live through the movie, I don't really give a fuck if you explain them anyway. But then also it's like, if they're going to live through the movie and be in future movies, you could almost like, if you don't have a way to fit it in here, you could just wait and fit it in the next one. And she is a character that lives. At the end of the movie, the team is Bloodsport, Harley Quinn, Ratcatcher 2, and King Shark. Yep. Am I missing anybody?
I actually thought of no, that's it.
Yeah.
Peacemaker is
alive, but he's not part of the team. And who knows if they're even the Suicide Squad? Like, Amanda Waller is going to put together another of her teams.
I think that was the end of their Suicide Squad. Her next one will be different people if they do another one. They might try to piecemeal these out.
Every movie might have a slightly different team. We'll see.
They probably should. The Rick Flag was kind of supposed to be the only constant, and he's dead.
What'd you think about that?
I personally am not a fan of that because Rick Flag is a good character, and killing him off in your first movie,
I like that actor too.
I also really like that actor.
It was his second
was,
movie as the character.
Takeshi Kovacs.
Yeah. It was the second movie with him as that character, but yeah, it's kind of like.
Yeah, he was in the first movie, right?
But it was going to be him or Bloodsport that had that fight where one of them was going to lose and one of them was going to win. One of them was going to get killed by Peacemaker and the other one was going to beat Peacemaker. Yeah.
I think it should have been Bloodsport.
That died.
It would have been a much better wrap up for his character, and Rick Flag betraying Amanda Waller would have been so much more impactful than Bloodsport doing it, who would have done it anyway if he got a chance.
Yeah.
So Rick Flag slipping the disc into his pocket or something, and then at the end just being like, fuck you, bitch, I'm leaving. Yeah. It would have been better. But Peacemaker killing Rick Flag was more symbolic of who Peacemaker is.
And it was a little more shock
value. It revealed
value.
Him. And it was shocking. It was unexpected.
Like let's just admit the truth here. Prior to any Suicide Squad movies, Rick Flag, Bloodsport, very unknown, obscure characters. Mm-hmm. But because of the first movie, Rick Flag, that character has more weight, more prominence, more people know who he is. So you killed off the more well-known person in favor of the obscure, which I get it. The whole movie, the whole Suicide Squad thing.
Idris Elba's a great actor, so
yeah, it's about the obscure. Got him. But yeah, I don't know if Bloodsport had been the one to die. I don't know. I think I would have been.
I don't know that I would have been happy either way, honestly. Yeah,
but
there was no winning that one.
My only thing with it is at the end you would have been looking at your team of Rick Flag, Harley Quinn, King Shark, and Ratcatcher 2, and well, see, here's the thing: Bloodsport doesn't really have powers per se. So Rick Flag, Bloodsport, they're kind of the same deal.
They're interchangeable as far as what they did against.
Yeah.
The only one who beats the space god Starro is Ratcatcher 2. Yeah. Like Harley helps, but really Harley doesn't do shit. Harley jumps into its eye and blinds it. But he still had a whole body.
That had to hurt, but did that
I imagine
really
it hurt quite a bit. But also disgusting that she's swimming in fluid that was formed during its embryonic state. But whatever.
Well, yeah.
So, but yeah, Ratcatcher 2 is the OG of the movie because she's the one who kills it because nobody else could. Although it was because Harley jumped into its eye that the rats were able to kill it. So we'll just say it was a team effort. Because they just swam into the eye fluid and chewed up his brainstem.
You don't think they could have shown through that little layer of...
I feel like they could have. It was just a faster...
I think they were getting in there no matter what.
Here's my opinion. I like how they did it, but here's my opinion. I actually think that they didn't know what to do with the javelin. They had the idea that Harley should carry the javelin. They had no fucking clue why.
And they had that fucking funny line from Fluleborg. And
yeah, they had a funny line from
him. And then at the end, they were like, we need her to do
something funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine he just like made a joke right then? Like he wasn't supposed to give her the javelin, but he was like, you will take my javelin. And like they didn't plan for this, but it was such a great scene that they were like, okay, we're going to work this in. But they didn't know how. And so then,
like, okay, she jumps into the eye with the javelin.
Fuck it, she'll do that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I wish Polka Dot Man had lived.
I am happy he died, but only for him, not because I didn't like him as a character. I liked him a lot, but he was just so fucked up in the head and was having a real hard life.
Like, I think mainly probably the reason that I wish he'd lived is the way he died. He died seconds after finding some like level of happiness with his life.
Yeah,
like
that was a bummer.
I'm a superhero. Done.
Like you can argue that was probably the best way for him to go out was
that's like
not seeing it coming in a euphoria.
That's like
death.
Think about it like this. That's like tomorrow you wake up and you have the ability to fly, and then like an hour into it you're not paying attention, you get taken out by like a fucking commercial airliner. Like
yeah. That would suck.
The 2 seconds after he comes to appreciate this part of him that has just he's hated for so long and truly love who he is.
Yeah.
He dies.
It was also
that's the
funny
movie. That's the movie. It's not a happy ending,
I like
win
that.
Movie.
They needed a gritty death that didn't affect anybody really, only the people that liked him.
Yeah.
And I knew for a fact, I hadn't seen it. I didn't look anything up, but I knew when I met the squad that Polka Dot Man was gonna die. I didn't know when or how, but I knew it. I was like, you are not living through this whole movie.
So to you, he was do you remember Slipknot from the first movie? If you don't, it's okay.
No, I don't think I do.
Okay. There's a character in the first movie. Dude, like it was like the only way they could have been more obvious that this dude was dying first fucking thing was if they'd have named him Dude Dies First Man. Like that's the only way. Like that scene at the airfield when they're all getting ready to go. And like they let Boomerang out of the bag and he punches that dude in the first movie. The car pulls up and you hear Rick Flag off screen he just goes, "Here comes Slipknot, the man who can climb anything." And you're just like, well, this guy's fucking dead. Like
climb anything. Oh my god!
People audibly like chuckled in the theater.
Scrambled eggs.
Oh my god! People audibly chuckled in the theater. Like, you've got to be shitting me. Like, and then sure as shit, the first time he tried to climb anything in the movie was Captain Boomerang wanted to test out and see if those explosives in their head were real, if she was fucking around. So he manipulated Slipknot into trying to escape, and he shoots his little Batman grappling hook and starts to climb up the side of a building, and Rick Flag detonates his bomb. Here comes Slipknot, the man who can climb anything. And he says it exactly like that with that tone and cadence. It's so you thought.
I think he had decided he was gonna die too.
you look at when you were looking at the movie, you looked at Polka Dot immediately, like the way I looked at Slipknot.
Yeah, I knew it. I didn't know what his powers did. I had a feeling they were pretty powerful because anytime there's some guy like that, he's powerful. He's probably not OP, but he's probably got a good power.
Yeah.
And so I knew he wasn't gonna die from some like grunt or something. I didn't know how he was gonna die. I honestly thought he was gonna be crushed by falling debris when the city was destroyed. That was my guess in the beginning. I was like, all right, they're going to fight this like creature. They don't know it's a creature, but they've revealed to us, the audience, that it's like a star creature.
Yeah.
So now we know that. Now I think in the city brawl, the thing is just gonna like smack a building, and it's right at the beginning. It's just gonna kill him. That was my thought.
Yeah.
At least he did some shit. He did way more than I thought he was gonna do.
Yeah.
Sliced his mom's foot off, aka Starro. Yeah. For those who haven't seen it, he sees everybody as his mom.
That's fucked up, dude. The dancing scene in the club was fucked up. Yeah.
It was so messed up. Everything with him. This is why I wasn't sad when he died, but I miss him.
All right, I gotta cut it off here. I gotta run an errand. I gotta run somewhere. So yeah, The Suicide Squad. If you haven't watched it, it's DC's second movie of 2021. If we're counting the Snyder Cut, it's its second movie of 2021 that is a hit. It is
I'm counting it because it's a good movie.
Yeah. So yeah, check it out. Check out the Suicide Squad, HBO Max. I give it a solid. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
I was gonna say the same thing. So. Yeah. That's exactly my vote. Is a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Only 1 point off because I wish that Polka Dot Man lived.
Yeah, tiny things.
And Rick Flag, yeah. But anyway,
all right,
9 out of 10.
Hey, stick around. I'm gonna tell you something here in a minute. But everybody else, take it easy.